Since Subnautica 2 launched into early access, I have spent over 40 hours streaming it on Twitch, and I've learned two things. Oxygen is important, and chat has very little confidence in my decision-making skills. During that time, I've made just about every beginner mistake possible. I nearly drowned while carrying an air bladder. I swam right past important blueprints without scanning them. I spent way too long searching for resources that were practically sitting in front of my face. And for an embarrassingly long time, I had absolutely no idea how adaptations worked. So if you're just starting out, this guide will walk you through exactly what to prioritize during your first few hours. From finding food and water to unlocking your first adaptation, building your first base, and preparing for the hot caves, all while avoiding as many spoilers as possible. Let's dive in. The very first thing you should pay attention to in any survival game is your survival meters. In Subnautica 2, you will find them in the bottom left corner of your HUD. The meter with the plus icon is your health bar. Directly below that is the food meter marked with a fork and knife icon. Beneath that is your hydration meter represented by a bottle icon. And finally, the largest meter is your oxygen gauge. When you first start the game, you'll have just 45 seconds of oxygen before you need to return to the surface or find another source of air. If you run out of oxygen, don't panic just yet. You'll have a brief buffer period to reach safety. That could be an oxygen tunic, the surface, an air pocket, your air bladder, or even an abandoned oxygen tank you find while exploring wreckage. If you do die, you'll respawn at the last biobed you set as your spawn point. But you'll also drop some of your inventory and need to recover it. Trust me, keeping an eye on that O2 meter is a lot easier than retracing your steps to find your lost gear. Now that we know what keeps us alive, let's make sure we actually have the tools to survive. Before we start crafting equipment, open the storage locker next to the fabricator by left-clicking your mouse. You'll notice that you are given one basic first aid kit, which restores 50 health, and 3 nutrient blocks, which restore 40 hunger. What you don't start with is water, unless you are hyper-vigilant in searching the wreckage you start in. If you did happen to look around, you will have found 1 flare, 1 basic first aid kit, and 1 bottle of water. It took me 5 playthroughs to figure this out. Thankfully, water is easy to come by once you know what you're looking for. Scattered across the seafloor and tucked away in caves, you'll find a small creature called a water slug. Grab a few of them and bring them back to your fabricator. Don't worry. These little guys are surprisingly cooperative for something that's about to become a beverage. Water slugs can be processed into bottled water, giving you a reliable source of hydration before you dehydrate. Once you have a reliable source of water, all you have to do is left-click to consume. Be careful not to right-click, because if you right-click, you'll actually drop the water. While you're at the fabricator, head into the equipment section. The game starts you with several essential recipes, and one of the best quality of life features is the ability to pin recipes to the top right corner of your HUD. Simply right-click a recipe and the game will track the materials you still need. Let's go over the most important starter tools. The Survivor multi-tool should be the very first piece of equipment you craft after making water. This tool allows you to harvest certain plants and break resource deposits for materials. To craft it, you only need 3 titanium. If you're wondering whether the air bladder is worth crafting, the answer is yes. Future you desperately flailing toward the surface with 2 seconds of oxygen left will thank present you. This tool serves 2 important purposes. First, if you need to reach the surface quickly, hold the right mouse button and the air bladder will propel you upward at high speed, as long as you're not too far underwater or trapped inside a cave or wreckage. It can save your life. Second, if you're exploring somewhere without access to air, pressing F will consume the bladder's reserve and provide 25 seconds of emergency oxygen. Those extra seconds can easily be the difference between making it out alive and losing your inventory. To craft the air bladder, you need 2 titanium and 1 rubber. To create rubber, you'll need Lucifer rot sacks. Specifically, you need 2 Lucifer rot sacks. Next up are the basic fins. To craft them, you'll need 2 fiber and 2 rubber. To make 2 fiber, you need 4 fibrous pulp, and for 2 rubber, you need 4 lucifer rot sacks. The speed increase may seem negligible at first, but that extra 0.5 meters per second adds up quickly when you're swimming everywhere, especially at the start of the game. The standard air tank is your first major oxygen upgrade. To craft it, you'll need 2 titanium, 1 rubber, and 2 silver. Silver can be found roughly 150 meters north of the Lifepod at a depth of around 64 meters. Bring your air bladder and keep it on your hot bar. 64 meters doesn't sound very deep until you're staring at your oxygen meter and suddenly become very aware of your own mortality. Crafting this upgrade increases your oxygen capacity from 45 seconds to 75 seconds, giving you much more room to explore. The final starter tool is the scanner, and honestly, I usually craft this immediately after the multi-tool. The scanner is one of the most important tools in the game. If you're not scanning everything that moves, sits still, or vaguely resembles technology, you've lost the plot. To craft the scanner, you'll need 2 titanium, 2 quartz, and 1 battery. A battery requires 1 acidic rayon pouch and 2 copper. You'll use the scanner throughout your entire playthrough to unlock new blueprints, scan creatures, identify resources, and expand your databank. Scanning blueprint fragments found at crash sites, debris fields, and abandoned colony locations unlocks new equipment, habitats, and technology. One detail I completely overlooked during my first several hours is the series of yellow dots that appear on the scanner display. These dots highlight nearby resources that you haven't scanned yet, making them incredibly useful for finding materials you're still missing. Now that we know what we're crafting, let's talk about where to find the materials. Directly beneath your life pod is a cave containing an oxygen tunic. Inside, you'll find a variety of useful early game resources, including acidic rayon pouches, medical gel sacks, copper, titanium, and water slugs. You will also find a flashlight fragment, making this cave worth visiting almost immediately. Right next to these water slugs and this flashlight fragment is a portable locker, which you can carry up to your life pod so that you have extra storage, and you can use it later in the game as well. Outside the cave, the shallows are packed with basic resources and tool fragments. You'll find titanium and quartz deposits scattered across the seafloor, while lucifer rot sacks are commonly surrounded by plants that provide fibrous pulp. These cradle shoot root are a great source of fibrous pulp, which you will need to make fiber. If you're searching for quartz specifically, make sure to check inside the large coral domes. These often contain generous amounts of quartz and can help you gather what you need for your scanner and other early game tools. Now that you've got some basic survival equipment, it's time to visit your first major colonist structure. Located approximately 60 meters southeast of your life pod is the Welcome Center. Before heading inside, scan the containers sitting just outside the entrance. This will reward you with the first of 2 habitat builder fragments, putting you one step closer to building your own base. Once inside, take a moment to scan everything you can. You'll find several useful blueprints here, including the Biolab. As you explore, you'll come across a room containing a Noetic Advisor, or NOAA for short, along with a red glowing power terminal mounted on the wall. To activate the Welcome Center, you'll need to insert a battery. If you've been scanning resources, chances are your scanner is already partially depleted. Press R to swap batteries, then insert the nearly empty one into the terminal. There's no reason to waste a fresh battery when a used one will do the job just fine. Once power is restored, you'll gain access to both the NOAA and the Biolab. You can go up to the Biolab once the power is restored, left click on it, and select your very first biomods. You have a choice for active biomods between Dash and Pathfinder. I highly recommend choosing the Dash. And for your passive biomods, you can choose either Sea Skimmer or Oxygen Control. Personally, I'm choosing the Sea Skimmer. Before leaving, make sure to check the center of the room. There's a hole in the floor covered by metal salvage. Pick up the metal salvage. It can be later recycled into titanium, and swim down into the chamber below. Here you'll find your second habitat builder fragment, unlocking one of the most important tools in the game. The Noetic Advisor, or NOAA for short, will become your primary guide throughout the story. NOAA provides coordinates for important locations, black boxes, beacons, story objectives, and lore discoveries. As you continue playing, keep an eye on the top of your screen near the navigation terminal. Whenever you see the NOAA icon, it means new communications are waiting for you. When that happens, return to your Lifepod or base and check in. NOAA frequently provides clues and coordinates that push the story forward, so ignoring those messages can leave you wondering where to go next. By now, you've probably discovered that the fish on Proteus aren't exactly friendly to the human digestive system. Even when cooked, many fish will damage your health if you eat them before obtaining the proper adaptation. Turns out, eating alien wildlife without adapting first was a bad idea. Fortunately, the solution is available very early in the game. Head toward the black box Anita marker, located roughly 161 meters northeast of the Lifepod. Here you'll find an angel bloom. Just as you did during the opening sequence when obtaining the pressure adaptation, interact with the angel bloom by reaching inside. Doing so will grant you the digestive adaptation.
Adapting alien enzymes to your stomach lining. You may now digest freely.
Once acquired, you'll be able to safely cook and consume fish without taking damage, or maybe you prefer sushi? This will open up a much more reliable food source for the rest of your adventure. With the Habitat Builder unlocked, it's finally time to create your first home. You can continue living out of the Lifepod for a while, but eventually you'll need a proper base. Several important crafting recipes later in the game require a fully functional fabricator installed inside a habitat. To fabricate the habitat builder, you're going to need 2 titanium, 1 glass, 1 basic battery, and a copper wire. For your first base, you should probably keep things a little simple. Start with 1 corridor, which takes 2 titanium, and 1 hatch, which takes 1 titanium and 1 quartz. Once built, swim inside and you'll quickly notice 2 problems. First, the habitat has no power. Second, the oxygen meter is counting down because the base isn't operational yet. To solve both issues, place 1 or 2 solar panels on top of the structure. Each solar panel costs 1 titanium and 2 quartz.
Power connected. All systems online.
Once powered, your base becomes a safe oxygen refill point while exploring. You'll also want to place a habitat beacon using 1 titanium. It's surprisingly easy to lose track of a small starter base in the vast ocean. For storage, craft a few wall lockers. They only cost 2 titanium each and offer 20 storage slots. You always think you have enough storage right up until you don't. Finally, install a fabricator inside your habitat. To craft one, you'll need 1 titanium, 1 copper, and 1 quartz. The fabricator unlocks more advanced crafting options and becomes the centerpiece of your growing base. One small quality of life tip that many players miss: when crafting consumables like water or food, you can queue multiple copies at once. If you're preparing for a long expedition, start a batch crafting queue, grab a snack, refill your drink, or pet your cat while the fabricator does the work for you. Just make sure that you have the inventory space, because otherwise it'll all fall on the floor. Up to this point, you've probably spent a lot of time staring at your screen thinking, am I swimming in a never-ending sea of molasses? Good news. That's about to change. The Wakemaker is the first true mobility upgrade you'll unlock in Subnautica 2, and the difference is incredible. With only basic fins, you're moving at roughly 0.5 meters per second. With the Wakemaker equipped, you'll be traveling at approximately 6 meters per second, dramatically reducing travel time and making exploration far more enjoyable. There are several locations where the Wakemaker fragments can be found, but I'm going to show you the ones that I located first and how far away they are from the Lifepod. The first Wakemaker fragment is 122 meters to the northeast at 30 meters in depth. You can find it in this cave, which we'll revisit in a little bit. But first, this is what it looks like, and go ahead and scan it. While you're down here though, you could go ahead and grab a basic battery. And if you haven't gotten the other scan for the flashlight, it's here too. There is also a supply crate. The second Wakemaker fragment is 124 meters to the north of your Lifepod at 29 meters in this little cave right outside the Digestion Adaptation Angel Comb. Now all you need left is one more fragment, but while you're here, you might as well take a look around because there is a lot to see over here. You'll find the third Wakemaker fragment as well as a wall rack, 214 meters to the northeast of your Lifepod at around 36 meters in depth. Once you've scanned enough fragments, head back to your base. To craft the Wakemaker, you will need one battery, one silver, one grease, and one wiring kit. To craft grease, all you need is one Lucifer rot sack. And for the wiring kit, you will need one copper wire and a silver. Once you have those ingredients, you can now make your very first mobility aid. Once you've crafted it, it will automatically equip. Prepare to leave your slow swimming days behind. Before we move on, let's talk about one of the most underrated tools in Subnautica 2, beacons. If you're anything like me, you'll discover a fantastic resource location and then immediately forget where it was approximately 12 seconds later. That's where beacons come in. Beacon fragments can be found throughout the map, but I located my first one 132 meters north of the Lifepod, right next to the first Wakemaker fragment. Another beacon is located 146 meters southwest of the Lifepod at around 18 meters in depth. Once you have both beacon fragments, you can use your habitat builder to craft a beacon using one copper and one titanium. I highly recommend placing them anywhere you find valuable resources, important cave systems, wrecks, or locations you'll maybe want to revisit later. The best part is that the beacon signals can be turned on or off from the Signals tab in your PDA, and it can be color-coded. This will help you keep your screen organized while still marking important locations. Trust me, future you will be thankful. Now that you have better mobility, it's time to start exploring some of the most valuable early game locations. Bunkers. These underground facilities contain story progression, blueprint fragments, inventory upgrades, and useful resources. One of the easiest ways to locate them is by following the power cables scattered throughout the world. Nobody runs electrical wiring to something unimportant, right? Another clue to watch out for is the presence of light sticks placed near cave entrances. Inside these cave systems, you'll often find oxygen tunic, bugs, air pockets, valuable resources, blueprint fragments, story-related discoveries. Most importantly, each bunker contains a biobed. Interacting with these permanently increases your inventory capacity, or sometimes your inventory bar, making them well worth the trip. One of the first bunkers that you come across is 216 meters to the north of the Lifepod and around 85 meters in depth. Inside this bunker, you will find an S-shelf, your first repair tool fragment, a trash can, another habitat builder, and a biobed. Now, this biobed isn't just here for you to scan. If you see right here, there is a screen, and when you interact with it,
Dexterity upgraded. Tool quick access improved.
it will give you either expanded inventory, or this one, for instance, gave me one extra toolbar slot. There are several entrances to almost every single biobed bunker. For the second biobed I'm going to show you guys, it is 168 meters northeast of your Lifepod at around 26 meters deep. Now, you can either go in straight, or you can actually come right over here and follow the glow sticks down.
Oxygen.
You'll find another entrance, and if you come around here, you will find Anita's Garden, your second bunker. In here, you will find some specimens. You can scan a stool, your first single bed fragment of 2, and another biobed screen.
Endurance upgraded. Inventory expanded.
This one expanded our inventory and gave us 3 additional slots, which really helps. Located 175 meters northwest of the Lifepod, you will find your very first sonic resonator fragment. You need 2, but once you get them, it is extremely beneficial and necessary for end-game progression. Your second sonic resonator fragment, just below there, at a depth of 36 meters, the third biobed I am going to show you is actually one that gets marked pretty early in the game. 227 meters to the southeast of your Lifepod, you will find the Quaker's Meeting House, which is also, incidentally, where Chap's black box is. Inside this bunker, you will discover your second single bed fragment, a bioreactor fragment, the floor locker fragment, your second repair tool fragment, as well as an inventory expansion. Outside this bunker, you will find salt, silver, copper, and titanium, as well as some our little friends here. South of the coral crab, you will find a wreckage site. Here, you'll get a Nook recipe card, you'll find another piece of the bioreactor, a dive elevator, as well as a rebreather. There are many more bunkers hidden throughout Proteus, but I don't want to spoil all of them for you. Exploration is a huge part of what makes Subnautica 2 special, and some discoveries are best experienced for yourself. One of the first major colony sites you will encounter is Camp 1, located approximately 268 meters northeast of your Lifepod. The site has been overrun by BFJ tendrils and is now patrolled by a marrow breach. Marrow breach are usually very excited to meet new explorers. Unfortunately, they're excited in the same way that Bruce the shark is excited to have Quint for lunch. When you enter the colony, there are 3 separate parts. Coming into this part, you will see some pent, as well as a button that you can press, which will open up a door beneath the wreckage. Inside the largest part of the colony, you will find your first power cell terminal, dining table fragments, multiple dining chair fragments, a destroyed bio bed, a poster, and some lore. Once you're done in the upper part of the colony, come down here, and if you remember to press that red button, you'll be able to go in here, and you will find your first scanner station, Wakemaker parts, and a black box. Before leaving the area, check around for storage lockers that you can get items from. There happens to be one right over here. Once you've explored Camp 1 and you've had your fun playing with the marrow breach, head north-northeast where you will find another piece of wreckage and your first hydroelectric turbine fragment. Head northwest and you will find your second hydroelectric turbine, as well as a supply crate with flares and food, and an interior wall recipe data card. Continuing forward, you will find more wreckage here, as well as a bioreactor fragment, rectangular ceiling light, and your first tadpole fragment. This area is roughly 200 meters north of Camp 1 at around 30 meters in depth. After you've explored around Camp 1, head roughly 145 meters to the north and the west. You will find another hydroelectric turbine if you haven't already found the 2 that you need to unlock the recipe. And you will find the old habitat. For easy oxygen, you can come into this hatch and find some lore. When you head back out, you'll want to go down here and up. The old habitat itself is absolutely packed with blueprints, resources, and story progression, making it one of the most valuable locations you'll visit during the early game. Inside, you'll find several scannable objects, including biobeds, a poster, dining tables, and lab chairs, as well as several black boxes. In the first room that you come into, you will find several wall lockers with very important crafting tools, the very important processor, which you will need for advanced crafting, storage lockers with water and fibrous pulp, as well as another sonic resonator piece if you were missing one. Down the left hallway, you will find a battery charger fragment and a bioreactor fragment, a chest with lead, and a ladder leading up. In the room before you go through the hole in the roof, you will find more Wakemaker fragments, a spotlight, a small coral jar, and more storyline. Going back to where the ladder is and going straight up, you will find a room with oxygen. You can find another scanner station here, as well as a cicada debris recipe data card, several chairs, and a red button. Pressing this button will open into this hatch. Coming into the room with Noah, you will find a recipe card, as well as more storyline and lab chairs. Talk to Noah and then you can go explore the rest of the old habitat. Go back into the dining room and go across directly to this ladder. You'll find another processor, more dining chairs and tables, and your second battery terminal fragment. If you come into the bunk room in this area, you will find an air pocket. As well as more black boxes. Make sure you look around really carefully in case you miss something. And then you can head back down and go into the one room you have left to check. You will find 3 scannable display tanks, a red button, more storyline, and another sonic resonator piece. Scan the display tanks. And then head outside and grab some oxygen. Don't forget to pick up any black box or storyline recordings while you are here. This is a pretty big facility to check, but we're not done just yet. Before leaving the area, explore the nearby caves as well. One of them contains another biobed inventory upgrade, giving you even more storage. And if you go slightly northwest, you will find another tadpole fragment. Before you head back to your base, you will find these beautiful glowing anemones up on the cliff sides. In this area, you will find the Necroli Cysts. You can harvest these using the survival multi-tool. Gather a few of the Necroli Cysts. You will need them for advanced crafting recipes, including a dedicated core, alternative recipe for fiber mesh, improved fins, power cell, rebreather, scout ray chassis, strong acid, and the tadpole itself. Explore the area and then head back to your base. Before you head back to your base, and as you continue exploring, you'll begin finding even more scattered pieces of the tadpole as well as other equipment and base fragments. I've already shown you where 2 of the tadpole fragments are, but if you swim down southwest of your Lifepod at about 143 meters south-southwest and at a depth of 91, you will find what could be considered early tadpole fragment. Collecting these fragments will move you one step closer to building your first vehicle. You will need a room big enough to house the vehicle fabricator, tadpole dock, and a moon pool. Before we begin expanding our base, one of the best early game base equipment that you can get is the battery charger, which you should have gotten at the old habitat. Could you keep crafting new batteries forever? Sure. Could you also repeatedly buy a new car every time it runs out of gas? Also, technically yes. But none of us are Elon Musk. There are additional locations throughout the world in case you missed the 2 battery charger fragments at the old habitat, but these are the 2 that were the easiest for me to access early on. You'll find your battery terminal under the Habitat Builder and Interior Facilities under Power. To craft the battery terminal, you will need 2 titanium, 2 quartz, and 1 copper wire. Once you place it, you can charge multiple batteries at once, and they recharge surprisingly quickly. It may not seem exciting, but this single upgrade can save you a tremendous amount of copper and acidic rayon pouches throughout your playthrough. Now that you have explored and found various different habitat recipes, including the room blueprint, you can start to expand your base. This is where the base building starts becoming much more interesting. Unlike simple corridors, rooms provide significantly more interior space and can be expanded into larger structures as your needs grow. Each room costs 5 titanium. Once you have your first room crafted, you can grow the room by hovering over a wall. You can change the width of the room, making it modular, or you can enter shrink mode if you need to make it smaller. This modular building system in Subnautica 2 is far more flexible than any of the other games, allowing you to create specialized crafting rooms, storage wings, power stations, and research areas. 2 of the interior facilities that you are going to want to prioritize putting in your base first are the processor and the scanning station. To craft the processor, you will need 2 titanium, 1 mild acid, and 1 copper wire. The processor uses 10 energy per second. The scanner system, once placed in your base, becomes one of the most useful tools in the game. It allows you to search a 300-meter radius around your base for specific resources. Simply select a resource from the scanner interface and click its icon to place a tracking marker directly onto your HUD. If you've ever spent 20 minutes searching for 1 piece of silver, you'll quickly learn to appreciate this machine. To craft the scanner station, you will need 1 system chip, 3 titanium, and 1 wiring kit. It requires 10 energy per second. Now that you've built a scanner station and a processor, it's time that we move on to faster and better transportation. You're going to need a big enough room to house the vehicle fabricator, the tadpole dock, and the moon pool. To craft the vehicle fabricator, you will need 2 titanium ingots, which will cost you a total of 6 titanium. To get the titanium ingots, you're going to use the processor that you built. Click on the left-hand side and then click Load Processor twice. While you wait for your ingots to form, go ahead and fix your moon pool. Your moon pool costs 5 titanium. And now you can go in and out, just like this. If you do not like how plain this is, you can also go back into your Habitat Builder and click on the moon pool. And then you can choose the option by left-clicking your mouse to change moon pool variant. It costs you nothing to change what the variant looks like. Once your ingots are done processing, go ahead and take those out. After you've crafted your moon pool, you're going to need to make a tadpole dock as well as a vehicle fabricator. For the tadpole dock, which will take 10 energy per second, you will need 2 titanium ingots and 1 silver ingot as well as 2 copper wire. To craft the vehicle fabricator, you're going to need 2 titanium ingots, 1 copper, and 2 glass. The tadpole dock is where your vehicle fabricator will place your tadpole and where you can dock it to charge it. And your vehicle fabricator is where you can craft your tadpole. Now, to craft your tadpole, you are going to need 1 power cell, 1 glass, 2 titanium ingots, and a system chip. As your base grows, so will its power requirements. Fortunately, you'll have access to 2 excellent power solutions. You should have already by this point collected a couple of bioreactor fragments. The bioreactor converts biological materials into power. You can use fuel such as fish, plants, and biofuel cubes, as well as other organic materials. Once constructed, it provides a reliable source of energy regardless of time, day, or biome. To build it, you'll first need to access the processor and the required advanced materials, 2 titanium ingots and 2 copper ingots. The bioreactor provides anywhere from 1 to 20 energy per second, making it far superior to the solar panels. Hydroelectric turbines generate approximately 12 energy per second when placed in active currents or jet streams. You can find these around the old habitat at around 181 meters south of the Lifepod, or at 388 meters northeast of the Lifepod, as well as many other locations. For early and mid-game bases, they are arguably one of the strongest power options available. Each turbine costs 3 titanium, 3 copper, and 3 silver, and provide 12 energy per second. I highly recommend constructing multiple turbines and connecting them back to your base using a power transmitter. Power transmitters cost 1 titanium and 1 copper, and allow you to bring energy from distant currents directly back to your habitat. At this point in the game, you should have collected enough fragments to begin crafting several important upgrades, including the sonic resonator. If you're missing any of the fragments, you'll find them at Bunker 2 and the old habitat, as well as scattered across the seafloor and on ledges and at debris. The sonic resonator is required for obtaining the heat adaptation, making it one of the next major progression goals. To craft it, you'll need a basic battery, 2 titanium ingots, 2 lead, and a wiring kit. By this point, you should have also discovered repair tool fragments throughout bunkers 2 and 3, as well as other places. The repair tool allows you to restore damaged structures and activate certain devices throughout the world, as well as repairing your tadpole. To craft it, you'll need 1 titanium ingot, 1 wiring kit, 1 battery, and 1 sulfur. Lastly, you should also have unlocked the rebreather blueprint from fragments found around bunkers. The rebreather significantly improves oxygen efficiency while diving deeper underwater, making longer expeditions much safer. To craft it, you'll need 2 fiber mesh and 1 system chip. Before heading into the hot caves and beyond, I recommend taking a moment to make sure you've upgraded your equipment and gathered some important resources. You can rush ahead, but having a few key upgrades will make your experience much smoother and a lot less stressful. The Wakemaker, the rebreather, sonic resonator, repair tool, standard air tank or better, the upgraded fins if you've unlocked them, a functional base with power, scanner station, battery charger, several bottles of water and food, a few spare batteries, and the tadpole. If you're missing any of these upgrades, now is a great time to do a little exploration. There are still plenty of bunkers, research sites, wrecks, and cave systems scattered throughout the region that contain useful blueprints and upgrade fragments. One of the biggest mistakes new players make is focusing only on story objectives. Some of the best tools and quality of life upgrades come from simply exploring off the beaten path. As far as materials go, you're going to want to stock up on several things to help with advanced crafting later in the game. You'll first encounter salt around the area of Bunker 3. If you need larger quantities, you can use the scanner station or search roughly 200 meters southeast of the Lifepod between depths of 43 and 94 meters. Salt is used in several important crafting recipes and becomes increasingly valuable as your crafting options expand. Lead can be found in cave systems near Camp 1, generally around the 60 meters down, or you can also go northeast of your Lifepod to find large lead deposits that you can break using your sonic resonator. Lead is easy to overlook early on, but you'll quickly discover that lead becomes a key component in several important upgrades and structures. If you find a reliable source, consider dropping in a beacon nearby so you can return later. Sulfur can be located east-southeast of the Lifepod, and you'll begin finding sulfur nodes scattered throughout the area. You'll want to gather a healthy supply whenever you come across it because several useful mid-game recipes require it. As for lithium, lithium is one of the most important resources you'll need moving forward. The first lithium deposit I found was approximately 286 meters south of the Lifepod, although there is only one single piece available there. If you continue exploring farther south, you'll discover a much better source of lithium. Just make sure you've brought your sonic resonator with you. You'll also find large quantities of lithium throughout the Hot Caves region. Whenever you see lithium, grab it. You'll eventually reach a point where every blueprint seems personally offended if you don't have any. At this point, you should have a reliable source of food and water, a base with power, upgraded mobility with the Wakemaker and the Tadpole, improved oxygen efficiency through the rebreather, the sonic resonator, the repair tool, and access to resource scanning through the scanner station. Most importantly, don't feel like you need to rush. Subnautica has always been at its best when you're exploring, getting distracted by something, and discovering things you weren't even looking for. If you haven't already, spend some time investigating additional bunkers, wrecks, and cave systems. You'll find more fragments, more lore, more upgrades, and probably a few surprises along the way. Once you've gathered these resources and completed your upgrades, you'll be ready to tackle the hot caves and receive the heat adaptation and begin the next stage of your journey on Proteus. And that's everything I wish I had known when I first stepped out of the Lifepod. By now, you should have the tools, upgrades, and knowledge needed to confidently survive the early game without spending hours swimming in circles wondering where Sulfur went. Of course, Subnautica has always been about discovery. So I've intentionally left some of the bigger mysteries untouched for you to uncover yourself. If this guide helped you out, let me know in the comments what resource, blueprint, or adaptation gave you the hardest time finding, or what I completely missed. And if you'd like to see more adventures, close calls, questionable decisions, and occasional oxygen-related poor life choices unfold live, I stream on Twitch 3 days a week. We'd love to have you stop by and say hello. Thank you so much for watching. Good luck out there. Stay hydrated, watch your oxygen, and remember, do not go to the tree.